childhood. Please help me welcome the panelists from Blonde. Here's Armas and Adrien Brody, who plays the playwright. Amazing scene. Anna, while it's important to emphasize that it's a fictionalized account of Norma Jean Baker's life, you invest, Norma Jean Baker became her woman, you invest something that makes us visceral, real. You know, it's not an impersonation. You become her. How did you do that? I mean, it's extraordinary.
Well, that's a very long explanation. For me, it was important to find the emotional truth in this character because obviously there was a lot for me to work on, for research and things that I had to prepare, a lot of material that I had to pull from Marilyn Monroe, which is the figure and the on-screen character that we're used to. But there was not much out there about Norma Jean, and that is one of the biggest themes in the movie, is this private and public self. And Norma Jean was completely unseen. And I really wanted to capture the essence of that woman, like peel all the layers and find the human underneath that character. So it was a long process of, studying her and her films and audio recordings and the book, and just talking to Andrew and just trying to understand what she was feeling at all times. Always thinking that Norma, for the most part, she never thought she could live up to Marilyn. She always thought that what people thought of her was not at all what she felt like. So just working with that insecurities, and the fear and just wanted to be loved and accepted is, they were my main, I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting that she wanted to be loved, and of course she had no love. Her father abandoned her, her mother was institutionalized, and she kind of looked for that daddy figure, didn't she, in these men that she associated with.
Yeah, I think that when you're a child and they make you believe that you're the reason why things are wrong and you were not wanted and you're a mistake and why your father left or why your mom is crazy, you will definitely, something will change in you and you will see life through that lens and you will believe that you were not worthy of love. So you grow up to be someone who just wants to be accepted, and you would just give and give and give and give and have no boundaries in order to not lose anybody else. So that's a very dangerous place to live in because everyone will take from you.
Adrien, you play the playwright, who is Arthur Miller, of course, but do you think he was able to give Marilyn the love that she deserved?
Well, I think, first of all, further to Anna's point, a film that really represents unresolved childhood trauma is such a universal theme, and unfortunately there's too much suffering in this world. A lot of it stems from events in our lives that are unresolvable, play out in different ways, different relationships and friendships. And what's so tragic about the film and in her beautiful portrayal is that fragility and loneliness and how far away that is from all of our perception and what Hollywood perpetuates and media perpetuates about stardom, out success. Here's the most successful actor in her career, and yet she's so deeply lonely and unfulfilled. And there are very complex relationships that she's had, and Arthur Miller, the playwright, is
We have to be careful here.
Yeah. It's clearly based, and that's, my research is based on portraying a human being, and this is a fictionalized adaptation of fictionalized work by wonderful written work by Joyce Carol Oates. But that being said, within that small time for us to interact, I felt it was very important to try and convey some of the complexity of that relationship and the love that has to be there, and the potential for hopefulness that is missing in so much of her life, and that she's longing for. And I have to deliver that. I have to be that, embody the emotion for that connection, and we need to share that in a very finite amount of time. And then things can unravel from that and further disintegrate, and her state of mind is further ravaged from, self-medicating on drugs and alcohol, etc. And it's a very tragic moment, but that connection had to be there, and we had a window to try and share that. I hope to convey that.
But you give him a moment, which I think we saw in that brief clip, where you, as the playwright, have an epiphany because you understand that she's not just the blonde, she has a brain.
And that too, that was the first scene we shot together, and it was such a wonderful experience for me as an actor, because I'm sure many of you have seen this film, and Anna's work is just devastatingly powerful. And yes, that's why I'm here today, to stand next to her, because she just killed it. And I saw, we didn't know each other, and we have to play this very intimate moment, and she just transformed into this person that I knew somewhere in my mind. And I went home from that feeling that I had experienced working with Marilyn Monroe. I just was on set.
It's a Shakespearean proportion, that performance. No, seriously. You capture so many facets. It's almost schizophrenic. Norma, Marilyn, Norma.
That's making how I did that.
There are parts of the process that
I truly sometimes think about it, and I think that I cannot find an explanation for everything. I think I was working on it for months, 9 months. The movie was not greenlit when I got cast. So we used, and we, by the way, didn't know if it was ever going to be, but in my heart, I felt like it was going to happen. And I used that time to my advantage. And after 9-10 months, when we finally started shooting, I would have wished I had another 9-10 months. I never felt like fully prepared, but I feel like once we started filming, all of that research and work and just like feeling, and imagining these things that I have never did before. Andrew never saw in a rehearsal how I was gonna speak or talk or, or move. I just did it on the spot on the first day. And then once that happened, I feel like unconsciously all of that information and visual references that I had in my mind, they just happened. And so there are moments in the movie that I also look at and I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but it just did. I think it's just your body just manifesting this thing that you've been watching, so, with so much intention and a purpose for so long. Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember seeing you at a couple of premieres in London and thinking how the crowd wanted parts of you, and in this movie, everyone wants you. Talk to me about that.
That everyone wants me?
Yeah, you know, the thing about movie stardom is that people think they know you.
How does that
They
feel?
want you.
Tell me, how does that feel?
They want
Don't worry about the
You've been
150 people in the room.
men alive at some point, so you should know
everybody on
about that.
stage for it.
You have not? Something's wrong.
I can't tell you how that feels.
No, but it's that sense of possession, isn't it? You know,
In the character? Or
in the character and for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I think you know, this character was created. I think at the beginning, Marilyn was very, you know, Norma was very ambitious, and she really wanted this career and, you know, to happen for her. And I think she contributed a little bit to play the game at the time. But this character was created, and pretty soon it just got out of her hands, and it became this thing that was way bigger than her, and she did not have control anymore. So I think that, you know, that desire and that expectations that what she was supposed to deliver and do and repeat over and over and over again was what clearly made her, you know, who she was. And at the same time, it became a prison because she just could not get away from it. And I think, you know, she would have done so many wonderful dramatic roles, and she was so talented. She really is not just what is in the film. She was not only sad and depressed and you know, it was not all bad. She was many other things. So it is like Adrien said, it's very, very tragic that, you know, that desire, you know, did not come, you know, didn't arrive to her the right way or from the right people.
It's also, her persona was so far from who she was and became symbolic of everything that everyone expected of her. And I think that is an enormous burden on someone, you know. So there's not only the aspect of being recognized, but being recognized in this kind of perfect, dumbed down, accessible, attractive blonde woman, and which was very representative of the times, of, you know, an aesthetic, and that's a lot of pressure for someone. So it's not just feeling a connection or acknowledgement for that. It's different from the soul of the artist who's created that.
It's the flip side of Hollywood, isn't it? It's the dark side, essentially.
Is, you know, I do think Hollywood has changed in many ways, in the right direction, but Hollywood, to be Hollywood, needs to remain the same in many other ways. And it's just the way it is, and I think it's an industry that will always protect that part of it, and we all still today have to deal with some kind of something like that.
There's a beautiful scene in the film where there's a dog, and it's your dog, Elvis.
Yes.
How did he feel? What was that like?
Now my other dog Salsa is jealous. She's like, when am I gonna be in the movie? Yeah, that was my dog, Elvis. He was just on set with me, and by the way, it was Andrew who realized that Elvis looked like Mafia. Mafia is a real dog that Sinatra gave to Marilyn. And Andrew was like, wait, you have a dog whose name is Elvis, that looks like Mafia. He should be in the movie. And he was literally in that scene, he was just walking by my side. No one gave him a direction or treats or anything. He was just following me around. And I feel like it was, you know, such a heavy, intense scene, and Andrew was playing music for, you know, the atmosphere and vibe in the room, and the Steadicam was following me, and we were improvising. It was a whole, you know, improvised scene, and Elvis was just there with me, and you know,
Was it a
it's
comfort?
really beautiful. Even he looked up to the window, and I was like, how did he know? It was very special. Yeah, I'm happy I have my dog in the movie with me.
Oh, it was kind of comforting at that scene, in that particular scene. So just a devastating scene, right?
Yeah,
When people ask me, what is your dog in the movie? I'm like, I can't tell you. It's the best scene in the movie. You have to watch it.
What was it like? Because you know, there are certain scenes where you're interpolated into films that Marilyn Monroe actually made. What was that like?
That was an incredible experience. All of them were pretty surreal because these recreations were magical. I mean, we had, you know, an incredible crew, by the way, like hair and makeup and costume designers, and everyone involved was just like so on the same page and in so much love with the project and so much respect. And it was, you know, it's also a movie that if the hair and makeup people or anyone gets it wrong just by a little bit, you're out. It's off. Like you can't watch it anymore. So they did an incredible job, and these recreations were so spot on. And Andrew had 2 monitors, one monitor with the real movie and Marilyn, and our monitor on set, and we had to do it the same, and we would not move on until we got it. And it was amazing. It was not much time to rehearse them either, and it was just like just go with the flow, and everyone did their homework separately, and then we got together on set and we did it, and it was beautiful. It was incredible.
And now we have to go with the flow. Please join me in thanking these great artists. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna and Brody.